Well, hello everyone, and welcome here to FNL Gridiron. Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you. We are presented by Beals Insurance, another big playoff edition of the show as we take another step towards the finish line statewide. Division One, we're down to 8 teams. D2, 3, and 4, we're down to the semifinals. Helping us break it all down is Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. He is guest number 1, and he comes your way in about 10 minutes or so. Then Trevor Knight, former standout at Nashua South and the University of New Hampshire, and the founder of the TKQB Academy, is going to help break down the quarterback play of the remaining QBs in the tournaments. Trevor joins us at about 6 o'clock. And then Rob Cathcart, longtime Trinity head coach, is back on the program. He's got the Pioneers in the Division II semifinals. They are hosting Plymouth this Saturday. We will be there, part of our 2 live broadcasts this weekend. It's our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week presented by Beals Insurance. We'll be broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS Network. That game is Saturday at 1 o'clock, Plymouth at Trinity. Friday night, Division One quarterfinal action comes your way from Stello Stadium in Nashua as Nashua South takes on Bishop Girton in the 4 versus 5 matchup. So, Steve, a lot to get to tonight, a lot to unpack. We have the right guests to help us do so. And I know you're looking forward to not just tonight, but this weekend as well.
Best time of year, Nick. I'll tell you, I would say of the years and years we've been doing this broadcast, Nick, and going all the way through the tournament, this preliminary round this year was as good as it gets. I don't recall one that had more excitement. Games were solid. The all 10 teams that were in it were solid. We got 5 out of there. They're going to combine now with the 3 with Pinkerton, Memorial, and Bedford. And we've got a quarterfinal matchup we can talk about tonight that the whole Division One can be very proud of. As Division Two and Division Three, we can get there. But before we get started, I just wanted to give some accolades to some teams that are not necessarily in the tournament, but really prove that these are up-and-coming programs and really want to congratulate them. We'll start off in Division One Central. Even though I'm going to kind of go the teams that were 500 or better that finished in the Division One. Alvin was 4-5, but they won their last 3 games and they beat some solid teams. They even beat Merrimack in the last game of the year. Alvin deserves a lot of credit from where they started, from where they end. Concord finished 4-4. Definitely what appeared to be a quarterfinal bound team, but they ran into a solid outing over there by Wyndham. They were able to pull it off. I believe that was an overtime, Nick. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a heck of a game. Right.
Wyndham scored 20 unanswered points to win the game 20-14. So Concord had that big lead on the road, but just couldn't get over the finish line.
And so that's a big deal for Concord, Nick. 4-4, a lot to look forward to in the future there. Congratulations to them. Exeter finishing 5-3 in that incredibly strong East Conference. So they finished 5-3. And how about Portsmouth Oyster River? Last week we did the game in Salem, brought that thing right down to the last seconds. They were my kind of wild card team you better watch out for. And I'm sure there's a lot of teams that don't want to play Salem, obviously. But at the same token, Portsmouth Oyster River, what a fantastic job. Just a class act from the head coach, right on down to the young men that played that game. What a season. Thank you so much to every one of those players that played their hearts out to excite so many in one of the greatest games I've seen in a while. It was just terrific. It's on the short list. On the West, how about Nashua North finishing 4-4? And then we got Merrimack 4-4. Congratulations to Kip Jackson and his group for that. And then quickly in Division Two, we got Kingswood and St. Thomas. And Manchester West. How about Manchester West, Nick? 7-2. Unbelievable. So much to be proud of, and most importantly, so much to look forward to for that program. Hanover as well at 5-4. And just congratulations to those teams in Division 1 and 2. What a great tournament we have. So I look forward to talking to Trevor about and Roger about this, Nick, as you as well. But the 8 teams that we have left here from Bedford Winnicott, match 1, match 2, Nashua South at Bishop Girton at Nashua South. What a game that'll be. How about Salem coming out, going over to Memorial and playing that amazing Memorial team? But Salem looked like they had all cylinders running, well-oiled machine under Steve Abraham. And the last game, Wyndham at Pinkerton, round 2. They'll be going in there. That's going to be a tough game for sure. Probably most would think that Pinkerton would be favored. Certainly you can understand the logic behind that, but Pinkerton will not take them lightly because Wyndham can go in there and they can play some tough football, especially if they get started right, Nick. That's what we got. We can go through the other tournaments later, but that's a good kickoff anyway to get going.
Yeah, I would say for sure. One other note there, you mentioned Salem. They get the win over Portsmouth. That's now 5 straight for the Blue Devils, so they've got momentum going into the Queen City to take on Memorial. And down in Division 3, a little footnote here as well. Congratulations to Interlakes as they get a road win, a rare road win in the quarterfinals. They knock off top seed Campbell, ending the Cougars season. So great job by Interlakes there. Final 4 is set in D3. Monadnock against Guilford, Laconia against the Lakers. All right, when we come back, Roger Brown is going to dissect this whole thing for us. He's the founder, of course, of the New Hampshire Football Report. As we move forward here, another playoff edition of FNL Gridiron. We're presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here, ready to go forward with Roger Brown of the New Hampshire Football Report. Nick and Aston, Steve Beals with you. Before we bring in Roger, quick reminder, we're on the air tomorrow night, 6:45, ahead of that 7 o'clock kick, as we set up shop in Stello Stadium. BG at Nashua South, the number 5 Cardinals, the number 4 Purple Panthers, a rematch from about a month ago.
Nick,
ahead,
it's
Steve.
6:50. It's 6:15. I apologize for interrupting. Yeah, well, they're on it. Game's on at 6:30. We'll be starting at 6:15.
That's right. I apologize. About a
No
half hour
problem.
early.
No problem.
I appreciate the correction. So 6:30 the kick, 6:15 is the pregame coverage tomorrow night. Saturday, we're in the Queen City of Manchester as Trinity hosts Plymouth. That's a Week 3 rematch. We speak with Rob Cathcart, the Pioneers head coach, at about 6:15. Right now, let's bring him in. Roger Brown returning to the show. Of course, Roger, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. Good evening, Roger. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Boy, Roger, you got a good internet feed. You got
Say
a good
again?
internet feed tonight. You got a good internet feed tonight.
Hey, take what they give me,
I mean,
you know?
You could call balls and strikes with that clarity.
There's a no. I don't know if you want clarity with me on this end.
Good to see you.
Roger, we're gonna start with a game that we're gonna cover. That's South against BG. Your thoughts there before we expand on the tournament field.
Boy, that's game of the year candidate, I think. You know, I don't know if were you guys at the first game between those two teams? I mean, it was.
Unfortunately, not.
I mean, it was well, a lot of extracurricular stuff, but in terms of the game itself, it was fantastic. And both teams showed their strength for a half. BG in the first half, I think it was 24-8 at halftime, and then it was all South in the second half. I think they scored the final 20 to pull it out. But you're not going to find, I don't think, two teams that are more evenly matched than those two. I couldn't even tell you what's going to happen, other than I would expect it to be very close and go right down to the wire. And also I do think, you know, if Bedford gets past Winnicott, not the easiest draw for Bedford. I think I would have rather played another team that maybe got a first round bye rather than this 4-5 matchup. Both teams already gave Bedford a handful. I know BG's game against Bedford was closer than South's, but South was right with them, almost 3 quarters. So, we'll see if Winnicott can beat Bedford. But regardless, whichever team advances out of this game, I think could go all the way.
You mentioned Winnicott and Bedford. That's the 8th-seeded Warriors against the top seed and undefeated Bulldogs. What does Winnicott need to do on the road to potentially put themselves in a spot to win that game as an upset?
Well, they need the Exeter game plan, I think, which is, have a significant edge in time of possession. And they have the style of play. They run that veer offense where, they could control the ball on the ground, a lot of 4 and 5 yard gains. They had almost a 12-minute drive against Exeter last week. I think it was 11 minutes and 50 seconds. So, another one of those would help out tremendously. But what they really need is just to find a way to slow down that Bedford offense on at least a couple possessions, whether it be, forcing punts or turnovers or turnover on downs, what have you. Just, score when they have the ball and just, find a way to stop Bedford, which nobody has really found a solution for this year.
All right. Pinkerton and Wyndham. That's the 3-6 matchup. That's also a rematch from week 1. That was a 28-0 Astro victory way back in early September. It's been over 2 months, Roger. Which team will look different or more different when they play on Friday night, Pinkerton or Wyndham?
Wyndham, for sure. I was at that first game. Pinkerton scored on 3 long passes. Even in week 1, that Wyndham defense showed up against the run. I don't think Pinkerton had very many X plays in the running game at all, much over 10 yards. So the Wyndham defense, I remember thinking coming away from that game that I was most impressed with the Wyndham defense despite the score. Pinkerton's not quite as healthy as they were back then. They did get Brady Spellman back a couple weeks ago, so that helps. But the Wyndham defense is just, I think they're going to do a good job against the run. They just got to, not have those big passing plays like Pinkerton got the first time around. And I think the biggest question is, can Wyndham move it on Pinkerton at all?
Right.
They had no luck at all in the first game. I was actually impressed with the Wyndham passing game last week against Concord. They got behind and had to throw it a little bit. And, they had some success there. So I wonder if they're not going to come out and throw it a little bit more than they have in previous weeks. If they can move it at all on Pinkerton, that one could be close, going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Steve?
Roger, good to see you again. Before we go to a quick review of the other three matchups that you talked about, come off one of the best games I've been at, one of those games that you just remember, haven't forgotten about it since last weekend, Portsmouth Oyster River at Salem. Great game. Salem showed a lot of poise. There were times when they lost the momentum to a very good and very well playing Portsmouth offense and defense, but they persevered, and I know Steve Abraham must be proud of them. They're going to go into Memorial. Who would ever, not who would ever. You could see this train coming for a while, Memorial, but they really have wowed me this year. What are your thoughts on that game, and specifically about Salem going up against some of the best, one of the best quarterbacks that I've seen, Sutherland? He is something else, and running game, and great athletes they have on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think Memorial's just been tremendous all year. Not a huge surprise, as you mentioned, Steve. They do get the leader of their defense back this week, Landon Murphy, their middle linebacker, who's been out for over half the year. I think the timing is good against this, that three-pronged rushing attack that Salem has, really four actually with the quarterback. So that'll be helpful, I think, to Memorial. You wonder, some teams come off a bye and it's helpful, and some teams are rusty, so there's that factor to consider. And there's also, Salem, as I heard Nick mention earlier, has built quite a bit of momentum since they had some trouble, mid-season, let's say. They think they've won 5 in a row. The offense is always difficult to stop. If Salem can play a little defense, they'd have a good chance to advance, I think. But, I think Memorial has their hands full, just a lot of respect for that Salem program. And, both teams have big play threats. So, the defenses are going to have to be alert no matter where the ball is on the field. And, I don't know if it's going to be high scoring or not, but, that's if there's going to be an upset in D1, I think that's the one I would pick. And it's nothing against Memorial, but like I said earlier, a lot of respect for Salem and how they've kind of regrouped since that losing streak they had earlier this year.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I've watched the athletes on Memorial, and if they're on cue, they've got some athletes in that team that can run with the best athletes in the whole state. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. But I do agree with you that Salem is nobody by any stretch to take lightly, and I think it's going to be a grind. I really do. I think it's going to be a 4-quarter grind. Let's go to Wyndham again, at Pinkerton again. Coach Lee's done a fabulous job. Coach O'Reilly's legendary career stands on its own. I don't know if Jordan Ball is back healthy or not. I haven't heard if you know that, Roger. But when you look at Salem, I agree. I think you just nailed it. With Wyndham's defense, really fits into in the strong point where they need it, because that's Pinkerton's strength as well on the offensive running game. They've done a fantastic job. I don't know what to say about that one, other than I just look at Wyndham on the offensive side of the ball, and when I see Bergman rolling out, running, passing out to the perimeters. That seems to be when they're best. Their offense really works when they get him mobile. What are your thoughts on him as a quarterback, and how do you think he stacks up against the Astro defense as a quarterback himself? And what are your thoughts on strategy to utilize his strengths?
Well, I didn't see Wyndham all year after that first Pinkerton game, Steve. But
Lots happened
last week they used two quarterbacks, and it wasn't like they brought it. And I apologize, I forget the younger kid's name.
Yeah, I got it.
But he was more of a passer. It wasn't like they went exclusively to the run when Bergman was in there, but he's clearly their better runner. And it worked. They had, it was like the best of both worlds a little bit. And I would assume they're going to continue to shuffle quarterbacks this week. And I saw even the Londonderry game that Wyndham played, the quarterback run with Bergman in there had some success. So I just think they're, and they do have a good running back, the Brearley kid. So they have some pieces. I'm not exactly sure what their troubles have been finding the end zone throughout the year. Obviously, their defense has carried them, and they were able to win and produce enough offense. So if they can get the best out of both quarterbacks and then get the Brearley kid running, they have some weapons. They certainly have some receivers. So if you're Wyndham, you got to hope maybe your best offensive game is still ahead of them, because I think they're going to need it. And whether they're at full strength or not, Pinkerton's always a handful. Especially at their place, and tough task for Wyndham. But I think people look at that first score and maybe write them off, but their defense will keep them in it, I think.
Last one I was going to go over was the game that we're doing, BG at South. Even though they're both technically on the home field, South will be hosting the game. What can you say about the process in which Coach Knight transferred this team in a pretty good situation, and Coach Porter has the most unbelievably difficult challenge of living up to that, and then look at what he's done with the program. What do you think about that? And on the other side of the field, what are your thoughts on Coach Nailing taking over BG, and look at the 3-year progression this guy has got this team going, and what can you say about what this man has done? Coach Nailing, phenomenal job as well.
Yeah, both programs trending in the right direction, I would say. I mean, we saw this coming with South for a few years. They had this current crop of seniors kind of carried them as sophomores and juniors as well. And I think they have a good class, next year as well. Very impressed with what Josh has done at South, and equally impressed, with BG's team. I saw them end of last season. I think it was their last regular season game, and Bishop Girton I'm talking about. And I know they, injuries kind of took their toll, but,
They did.
you walked away just, but this year they got players all over the place. I really like how they, they go to that double wing one play, and then they're wide open throwing the ball the next. I think that gives them an advantage. I don't know what their strategy is with that, but it seems like they run the ball a lot on first down and get them into second and short or manageable. That's just what I've witnessed. I'm not sure if that's the plan or not, but they got a lot of good players and very sound scheme from what I've seen. So it's always good to have Nashua football strong, and it certainly is with them and North as well.
It is. Last thing, real quick, Nick, give us an overview of your thoughts on Division I with the NHIAA's playoff structure, seasonal structure. Where are we right now that you see maybe one thing you'd like to see or not like to see or whatever? What are your thoughts on where we're at right now? It seems to be creating a lot of exciting football.
I got to just pick one, Steve. We could be here
Pick
for the
as
end of
many
the
as
show.
you want.
Yeah. Well, of course,
I'm trying to be responsible to Nick. Nick's got to hurl me in here now and then. So go ahead.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I've written a lot about this. I wish we could go back to 20
That's why I'm
teams.
asking.
Uh, I like the balanced schedules. I just think if BG and South are competing for the same playoff spot, they ought to play the same opponents. I think that's fair. Now, that
Okay.
might be wishful thinking because if we're stuck with a 21 team conference for whatever reason,
What are you going to do?
I think what we have to do is that extra game that some teams play, whether be in state or out of state, we've got to even that out so it either counts for everybody or it doesn't count. And I know people scream at me and say it's in the bylaws that if you play an opponent in your division, it has to count. But maybe we got to figure out how to change that. Because I just don't think people understand. And I went over this with an AD today. Like, you can actually win your last game, and have your rating go down. That's just not right. You know what I mean? The football point rating was meant to evaluate two teams that played the same number of games, and I like it. I know people squawk about it. I'm a supporter of it, but it's just not as effective when you don't have the same number of countable games and you're comparing two teams. So,
Okay.
those are the changes I'd like. I could go on, but I'll stop there.
Do you think we have the best 8 teams in the finals? Final 8.
Yeah, I think we do. Although, boy, Concord was, you got to feel bad for Concord. They're up 14-0 with 10 minutes to play, and they played most of the game without their quarterback.
Yeah.
It was a gutsy effort by those kids, and they also had a tough call go against them at the end of regulation. So I know there's a lot of sophomores on that team, so that's a team to look for next year for
Coach
sure.
Corcom's got a lot to be excited about for sure. He's done a great job.
No doubt. 100%.
All right. Roger, where are you going to be tomorrow night?
Well, I was going to be at South at 7, but Steve reminded me that I got to be there earlier. So I'll be at Stellos for 6:30 kickoff.
We'll see you
Should
there.
be a great one. Looking forward to that one.
We appreciate it, Roger. Thanks again for coming on. Good stuff as usual, for sure.
And
Thank
all you do, Roger, for the Ukeka Player of the Year. I know the work you put in for that, and the state's a better place as far as appreciating the talent that we have in the state. Your work is appreciated by so many. So great job.
Yep, and you guys do a great job as well. And if you're a head coach out there watching and you haven't voted, make sure you get your Ukeka vote in by Monday, please.
Absolutely.
And make sure Ben got his ballot, Steve.
Make sure Ben. Yeah, he got it. We got it. Yep.
All right.
It wasn't
Thank you,
easy either. Woo-hoo.
Okay, guys. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you. That's Roger Brown,
the man, the
New
legend.
Hampshire Football Report. He's also a board member of the Ukeka Player of the Year Foundation. The 8 semifinalists are being reviewed and voted on right now. They'll narrow that list down to 3 next week, and then the winner, I believe, is announced on November the 20th. All right, we're running behind, so we're going to go right into Trevor Knight. Let's bring him in right now. The founder of the TKQB Academy, joining us from, I believe, his home.
It's my living room.
There he is. Trevor, how are you, my friend? Welcome back to the show.
Doing great. Thank you guys for having me on.
What are you doing, Trevor? Got no heat on there or something? Wearing a winter cap?
Yeah, well, I was outside. I actually took it off and saw what my hair looked like in the mirror, so I figured I'd just do you guys a favor and keep it on.
Dude, I'm picking everybody apart tonight. Good to have you, brother.
All right, Trevor, we're gonna get your expert analysis on the remaining quarterbacks in the tournament in just a moment. But I want an update on Coach Knight and your program down south of the border. You guys are in between regular season action and Thanksgiving action, kind of that old formula that we saw up here for many years. Your team's going to play on Thanksgiving morning, so you got to keep them in shape, keep them at practice until then. So, first of all, how did the season go, and how do you get ready for Thanksgiving with still a few weeks to go?
Yeah, season was a challenge. We were extremely young. Started 5 freshmen, probably 12 to 14 sophomores throughout the year. We're super low on seniors. I think we only had 4 seniors and have about 4 juniors. So, it was a struggle. We play in a tough league. We had fun competing every week. Kids stayed engaged. And it is a little strange. The MIA is, maybe not as efficient as the NHIAA in the fact that, there's a lot of teams opting out. They give you these extra games and a lot of teams opt out. There's plenty of teams that are sitting without games for the next couple of weeks as they wait for Thanksgiving. But, it's fun. We always played Nashua North in Thanksgiving at Nashua South. It was a good little tradition. And those practices were fun. They're a little bit lighter. One day you just play dodgeball or something, it's kind of good team building activities and, give you something to remember forever. So, season for us was tough, but, still fighting and, looking forward to finishing it up with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, best of luck for sure from us here at FNL. And then the TKQB Academy as well. Are you in between seasons there?
So I was doing some Sunday workouts. I was trying to do them bi-weekly as much as I could. I had to sometimes I couldn't, but did as much as I could. Still work with some guys during the season. Had some guys in there before playoffs, so it was good to see the guys and just check up on them. They like just coming to fine tune. It's not nothing too crazy in season. A lot of stretching and whatnot.
Right. All right. When you take a look at the remaining teams in Division One, we've got the top 8 seeds. It went chalk in the preliminary round. No road victories, but certainly some good games in there, as Steve mentioned. So we've got 8 quarterbacks left. Where do you want to start with those remaining 8 in Division One?
Well, I think you got to start with Nashua South and BG because those quarterbacks are just lighting up the stat sheets every week. Cody running and throwing. He's doing an incredible job running that offense all year. Every single week I look on Twitter after the game and I see Cody Jackson touchdown pass to Justin Fish, Cody Jackson touchdown pass to Josh Tripp, Cody Jackson touchdown pass to Colvin LeVake, and then Cody Jackson 20-yard touchdown run, Cody Jackson 15-yard touchdown run. So it was just like all he does is score touchdowns. And then you look on the other side, the Bishop Garden quarterback. He's obviously lit it up too, throwing for a ton of yards, ton of touchdowns. They have a great scheme and seems like he knows it well and is running it to a pretty high proficiency. So I think that's going to be a really fun quarterback game to watch, for viewers, and that's the game you guys are covering. So, I think that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, could be a lot of points tomorrow night for sure. And
I would assume
expect,
so.
Yeah, I would expect a high point total in that ball game. Those 2 guys in particular you mentioned, Bowen and Bowen and Jackson. Yeah. They seem like they've got the complete package. And again, Jackson's a senior, Bowen only a junior. But if you were going to nitpick and look for things to improve upon on the eve of their big battle, where would you go there?
I would say just I guess I haven't seen too much. I would say just protecting the ball, right? This is a game where it's going to be high scoring, so both these guys got to do a good job of protecting the football. So turnovers are the number one stat that correlates to winning and losing. If you're consistently winning the turnover battle, you're probably consistently winning football games, vice versa. So I think, that's going to be a big factor and stat in this game is who can protect the ball, who has the least amount of turnovers could end up. That might, be the deciding factor just because both teams are so talented.
Yeah. Top seed Bedford, after a week off, they're going to host Winnicott. Warriors have buttered their bread with the run game really all season long and, well, for decades really under Coach Frank Core and his predecessors over there. But we know Bedford's got another dual threat at the QB, a 4-year starter in Bennett Matthews. What is the ceiling for the Bulldogs tomorrow night? They should be fresh coming off the bye week. They're at home. We know that Bedford crowd is going to turn out. What kind of a game does Bennett Matthews need to turn in to get the Bulldogs back into the semifinals?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just got to be him and be nobody else. He's obviously an incredible athlete. So I think if he just does what he normally does, he's going to have success. Where you see guys, tend to struggle is when they try and do too much. So I don't think he's the type of guy to do that. I think he's just going to stick to his guns and, run and throw, and trust in his teammates and whatnot. They obviously have an incredible program. Coach Matthews has done a great job to what it is now. It's just a machine. So they have Helton, the running back as well. So they got some dynamic things they have going. And then on the other side, Winnicott, they got the good run game. And then the quarterback, Sean Griffin, I think he could surprise some people with how he throws the football downfield. I know Coach Frank Core has done a good job of, Sean's probably not the most dynamic runner that Winnicott's had in the past at quarterback, but he's got one heck of an arm. I'd put his arm up with anyone in the state as far as arm strength goes.
He rolls out very effective as well. Yeah, both sides.
Rolls out, and when he sets his feet to throw it downfield, that's getting there in a hurry. It's not going to be a lofted, soft pass. So he's got some juice on his arm. So he's a fun one to watch. When you see him roll out and set his feet, just get excited because the ball's going downfield.
Steve?
Yeah, great to have you with us, Coach. Obviously, your fingerprints are all over the training, the individual training that you give and collective training you give the quarterbacks in the state. And I'm going to be right up front. Everybody can see it. Everybody knows it. You're having a huge impact on that. And this state is a better brand of football because of what you're doing. And I'm not going to take no for an answer on that one. So that's not a question. Salem at Manchester Memorial, Trevor. Let's talk about that one. You got Alex Sutherland. What an athlete. Got a gun for an arm. Rolls out, stays in the pocket, moves. His side move and step up is just outstanding. He won the game with a bullet shot to the tight end inseam route and hit him right where he needed to, and they won the game and ran the clock out. What are your thoughts about him before we get to Van Mason?
I mean, he is awesome. You look at the way he's running that offense. Obviously, that's an offense that they implemented 3 years ago.
At least two. Yeah.
Takes time to learn that, right? That's why they do. You got to do a lot of stuff in the off season and really get a feel for what you're doing, what you're reading, and the timing of everything. So he has done a great job at picking that up. And he looks like a college quarterback the way he goes through his reads and goes through everything. And athletically, he's a stellar athlete, and he can throw the crap out of the ball. So he can make all the throws they need in that offense. He's running it to a high efficiency. He's a fun guy to watch, just with the running and passing. And he's kind of like a Allen Iverson back there at times, like a point guard.
A couple nice screen passes last game too. Couple nice screen passes, Trevor. Just waited for the defense at just the right time. He had the right loft in the ball. He's something. I agree. Yeah, let's go to Van Mason, Trevor.
Yeah,
Coach Abraham comes in, hasn't expecting a quarterback, a seasoned veteran quarterback. That doesn't work out. And this young fella, sophomore Van Mason, comes in. And if you look at the body of work he's done and the progression, what are your thoughts about this young man? Seems not very tall guy, but what are your thoughts about him and his skills as a young guy in his game management?
Yeah, so similar thing, where they have an intricate offense where, it's a lot of footwork. As a quarterback, you got to know exactly what you're doing on every play. And obviously he has picked that up, and he's making all the throws they need to. I actually talked to Coach Abe about this kid. I haven't worked with him, but he's very high on him. And again, it was a surprise that he had to play, and he's done a great job. He's taken the job and ran with it, and excelled with it. So it's impressive.
One of the things I know, we talked before, you teach quarterbacks when not to throw the ball, when not to take chances. I know that's a big part of your teaching game. It seemed to me the progression of the quality decisions that he made throughout the year were really amazing. I give that obviously to he as well as the coaching staff. I was wondering if you have any thoughts about that, and if you noticed that keeping his team out of trouble, not taking too much into his own hands.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. A huge part of the position is sometimes you can't coaches can't call perfect plays every single time. So at some point you're going to run a play and people are going to be covered up and you're going to have a decision to make. My quarterback coach in college always used to say you can't make a bad play worse, right? There's other things you say, but I'm not going to probably not say them. But you can't make a bad play worse. You can't make filet mignon out of chicken poop. Sometimes it's just chicken poop, and that's what it is. So let it be chicken poop. Throw the ball away, and we'll get to the next snap. So these young guys are doing a great job of taking to the coaching and listening to that. So it's good to see. All it does is boost the quality of football in the state.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I know we're on a time constraint, unfortunately. Trevor, thanks for all you do. Good luck at your Thanksgiving game this year. I'm from Southern Mass, so I remember the Thanksgiving game was always the last regular game of the season, and you always played the same team. I don't know if that's what you guys do every single year, or at least try to, and great memories as far as that's concerned. So best of luck on that, and thanks again for all you do for all of the northern and Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and probably some Maine athletes as well. And we hope to see you around. We really thank you for your partnership with us. And it's an honor to have you on board. It really is. Best of luck to you.
Well, I appreciate your kind words and everything you guys do for New Hampshire football. I know the kids all love it. So I wish you guys were around when I was playing, doing this. So thank you.
We would have been seeing the night group or the night team many times, I'm sure. You guys. But great to see Nashua South back in the fold and playing some really high-level football. And that's going to be a hell of a game Friday night.
Yeah, you love when national schools are in the mix.
Yeah, it is. It's good stuff, as well as Manchester now. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Take care, Trevor.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron. I apologize for stepping aside there. Must be a cyber attack or something, but we're back up and running now. I knew Steve would handle it.
Let's hope not.
Thank you to Trevor Knight. We appreciate
Yes.
him carving out some time for us, Roger Brown as well. Our final guest here over the final 10 minutes or so is Rob Cathcart. Trinity, they're going to host Plymouth, a chance to get to the Division II championship on the line. Coach, good evening. How are you on the eve of the big battle, sir? Thank you for coming on.
I'm well, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Rob. How are you doing,
Good.
Coach?
Good.
We're good, Coach. Coach, your team has played well, especially as of late, riding some momentum, big offensive performance in that win in the quarterfinal round to advance. You got some great stuff from your quarterback, and things seemingly are in place to defend your home field against a very tough Plymouth team. How are you feeling on the eve? Confident? Shaky? We know we're going to get a good game. Us in the media are certainly looking forward to Saturday. What about you?
We're ready to play football. Obviously, we had a one-sided loss earlier in the season against them, but we're hopeful that a lot of things have happened since then, and we've done some things that we think will put us in a position to be able to try and compete, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Service has made a name for himself really all season long, especially over the last month. He seems like one of those guys that has all the tools. The moment is never too big for him. He's got poise, and he's really grown into his own player, so to speak, out of the shadow of his brother at this point, I would say, to really be the leader of that team. Is that the role for him at this point? Is he the guy you turn to, Coach, as the leader in the locker room and certainly on the field?
Well, I would say in the locker room, we've got a number of strong leaders. You know, we've got 4 really good captains. Ollie obviously is a captain, but then we also have Connor Bishop and J.P. Farron and Dylan Gartside, and they provide a lot of leadership. Certainly on the field, Ollie is the go-to leader. You know, he's the quarterback, so obviously that comes into play where you're going to be the guy that everyone's got their eyes on in the huddle. But he's also, as you pointed out, he's our passing leader, and we do throw the ball. Excuse me. So that's a big part of it, but then he also is our leading rusher, and we do like to run the ball, and he's an explosive athlete with both of those skill sets, so he is a very big part of what we do.
Yeah. Coach, rematch against Plymouth. That was a Bobcat victory in week 3. We were up there in North Country to see that game. Seems like a long time ago now. What were some of the lessons you took from that loss that you can apply Saturday against the Bobcats?
Yeah, we tend to always, for some reason, be a little bit slow to get our physical nature out of ourselves. We never play too well in the Jamboree, and we always start off a little slow. So I think the big message we got in that Plymouth game is just, you know, the brand of football you have to be able to play if you want to compete at the end of the season in Division II, you know, and I think that's something that we learned in spades from them. They did a fantastic job. They're a strong, well-coached team, and they have a system that's hard to deal with from a physical standpoint. So they certainly showed us what we need to try to be able to compete with if we're going to advance any further than where we are right now.
Yeah. Steve?
Coach, great to have you on again, as always. Want to talk about the progression of Davey DiReppo. The Plymouth game, he struggled right from the opening. His pass patterns wasn't really on key with Ollie. He was caught with some defensive backs that were kind of taking him off of his game, and I really believe that probably, like you so aptly said, it kind of just the way things just got started from the Jamboree on. This is not the same football team that I've seen. We can talk about your film that you have on that game as well. But we also came back later on and saw Davey DiReppo against a good St. Thomas team. And wow, what a progression. That's the Davey DiReppo that everybody sees and knows now what, and I know he's progressed and continued to be a big part of the football team. He's got some terrific skills as a receiver and such. What are your thoughts on that progression? And is Davey still, killing it like he was during that time frame of the games around St. Thomas?
Yes, certainly. We as I said earlier, we like to throw the ball, and we do have a couple of guys that have gotten a good amount of action there. Connor Bishop and Davey Durbo, yes. and they kind of are. Davey is our deep threat, and Connor is more of our in the middle of the field, make the tough catches kind of a guy. And I think they complement each other well. You're right in that Davey. Davey's not the biggest guy. Connor's a bigger guy, but Davey is extremely fast and extremely explosive. So when he's able to find some space, dangerous things can happen. He's an outstanding kick returner for us as well. He can go over the top, and he's a terrific receiver going over the top. He has great hands, so he does a good job of being able to pull in some long ones there, or take a slant and be able to break it and split the safeties and go up the middle. He can do that as well. We'll throw him quick screens. He can catch a quick screen and then turn that into something. He is courageous, and he will, go and take on a physical matchup. You're right that he got banged around a little bit in the Plymouth game, and it wasn't his best game. I think I would say the same of Ollie. It wasn't Ollie's best game.
Fair enough.
I think they're both anxious to try to show what they can do moving forward.
Pelham in Division II has just been a perennial power year after year after year, Coach, and you guys beat them. And I don't want to say it sent shockwaves, but what it did is strengthen the resolve, and where Trinity was the direction that Trinity Pioneers were moving in the season as it relates to progression and playing better football. What are your thoughts? How was the locker room after that game, and your thoughts on that win? Because that's the kind of caliber you're going to need to play if you're going to play Plymouth, right?
Right. Yeah. We can get a good sense of how the state is looking at us. We were, so I think you look at Sahegan as just supremely talented, and you look at Pelham and Plymouth as two really tough, physical, strong teams in Division II. And I think we were kind of looked at as the fancy Dans that can kind of do some interesting things with the ball. We've got a quarterback, we've got some receivers, but so we were kind of naturally looked at as that fourth team. But I think we feel like we can play a physical brand of football. And I think you've known me long enough to know that that's the brand of football that I want to do. Play. So we're not going to escape the thought of being able to compete on that level. That's going to be ingrained in what we're trying to do. So you can bank on the fact that we've been trying to get that along with our mindset to accompany our fancy Dan image and be able to crack people a little bit. And that's what we're looking forward to trying to prove.
Well, we certainly saw that in the St. Thomas game, and I was able to talk to a couple people about the Pelham game, and so now let's the strength factor and the hard hitting factor, the physical team that is a Rob Cathcart type team. They've sort of progressed into that mode. I don't think there's any question about that. And as long as they bring that, now you face Plymouth again with a full. I've always said, if you get your butts kicked and you've got film on the team that just kicked your butt, you're going into the second game. You've got way more advantage on your film than the other guy has on you. So you are at that point with Plymouth. What are some things that you see specifically that your team needs to do against that team? And what are some things you really have to be careful of with the Bobcats that you see from film you got to improve on?
we have to be able to step up and compete at the line of scrimmage with what they're bringing. And it's not one guy. You're not trying to compete with one guy on the line of scrimmage. They're bringing multiple guys hard with multiple angles, coached up really well, trying to pop open a hole in your defense. And they popped open holes all day long against us last time we played, and that's what you need to be able to stop. But you can't be so focused on that you're giving up the back end either, because they have a terrific quarterback who's thrown for as many touchdowns as Ollie Service has. I think Sanborn's completed the same amount of touchdown passes. So he's a terrific player. And we've got to be wary of that and make sure that we don't open that up while we're still trying to stop their running game.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I have to tell you, the progression has been fantastic. I know you've got to be pleased with how your team has responded to that culture that you and your assistants bring. They look very, very solid. Was able to see some film. Last question, quick, about Division II. What a division this thing is becoming. And there's other teams that aren't in this Final Four dance that have a lot of seen progression themselves. How do you feel about the current Division II? And because it is getting a lot more attention now than it did, let's say, 3-4 years ago. There's a real tournament going on here.
Yeah, it's a strong division. It's a hard division for us because we have 32, 33 kids that we're dressing depending on how things are going, and so when you go up against a Plymouth or a Sahegan with the manpower they have, it's difficult. But we've made a decision as a school that that's what we want to compete in, and that's where we want to try to go. So we just have to try to be able to handle that type of roster with the type of roster that we have and be able to compete with it. And that's the challenge. We talked about the possibility, because we lose a lot after this year. And we talked about the idea of going back to 3, but we decided, no, let's stick with it and stick with Division II and see if we can keep competing here. Because you're right, it is a terrific division with some strong schools in there and some strong rivalries that we've developed.
Well, for Mike and everybody else, Coach, that field and that complex has done so much for the school. I got to tell you, Nick and I just get excited. I know the whole crew gets excited going in that field because it's a great place to broadcast a game, and the fan base is just fabulous. They're on both sides of the field, sitting up on the side of the fence, state-of-the-art turf, the whole 9 yards. So we're really excited about doing that game, and we look forward to it. Best of luck to you and your guys there. This is a good opportunity for Trinity to really go to the finals here. But boy, getting by Plymouth isn't going to be easy. But
it'll be a tall
physical
order.
football, it'll be a tall order. So best of luck to you, and it's always great seeing you. Good to see you in football.
Thanks. Good to see you.
I know that's a Patriot symbol back there, so let's go
You're
back
right.
tonight.
Yeah.
Good seeing you.
Here we
Good
go.
seeing you, Coach.
All right. Good seeing you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep.
That's
Good
Rob
night.
Cathcart, class act. He's got Trinity right where they want to be on the eve
Yeah, he does.
of the big semifinal battle. Reminder, we're on the air Saturday, 12:45. 1 o'clock is that kick from Manchester, Plymouth at Trinity. Friday night, we get it going a little earlier, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 is the kick from Stello Stadium between Bishop Girton and Nashua South. So 2 Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire games of the week coming your way this weekend. Friday, we're on our normal channel. Of course, that's FNLNH on YouTube, FNLNH Media on YouTube, broadcasting live. And then Saturday, the only place you can watch it live is the NFHS Network, nfhsnetwork.com. nfhsnetwork.com will provide you with the free, live link. Right. We will release that game on our YouTube channel 48 hours later. That is, of course, due to the bylaws of the NHIAA. So we've got everything laid out for this weekend. Steve is looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Matt and Ben, Kristen, Kat, John, the whole crew here at Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Looking forward to getting our hands dirty once again. Want to thank Roger Brown, founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, for joining us tonight. Same thing with Trevor Knight, the founder of the TKQB Academy. And great stuff there at the tail end from Rob Cathcart of Trinity. 4, my partner, Steve Beals, our director, the man behind the curtain, Ben Beals. My name is Nick Anastas, saying so long. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, same channel, 5:30 Eastern every Thursday. This has been FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.